Angelie here from the Free Range family, and today, since we're Good Friday and we're coming up to Easter here in New Zealand, I thought we would make some hot cross buns. This is something I do pretty much every year instead of buying hot cross buns nowadays. I think mine turn out a lot better. So in this bowl I've actually already measured out 4 cups of just plain white flour. I've got a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of mixed spice, and 1 teaspoon of cloves. And also what I've done is I've put 60 grams of softened butter in there, and I've just mixed it through the flour and spice mix until it resembles breadcrumbs. As you can see, the texture like that. So now what I'm going to add in is half a cup of sugar, just plain white sugar, and half a cup of, now you can use sultanas or currants, whichever you prefer. And I'm just going to mix them through quickly. Now to this mixture I'm also going to add some yeast, as that will be our rising agent. So I'm going to add, we buy our yeast from a shop here in New Zealand called Wilson's. Now it's an active yeast. So I'm just going to put in a tablespoon of yeast. Doesn't need to be dissolved in water or anything like that. Mix it through. Now to this mixture, now I am going to add, I have got 1 cup of water, milk and half a cup of warm water. Now I've just heated them to blood temperature, which is about 36-37 degrees. So I'm just going to add that into the flour mixture here. Now the other thing I'm going to add into the mixture, which helps to enrich it, is 1 egg. So I'm just going to start mixing that through. Now you should start seeing a dough start to form. If you need to, you can add a little bit more flour, but the dough is supposed to be a little bit sticky to start with until you start kneading it. Now you can do this in a KitchenAid or a mixer. It's a lot quicker and easier. Unfortunately our mixer's not working very well at the moment, so I'm doing it by hand. But that can be equally as satisfying as well. So just about got it all mixed in together here. So what I'm going to do now is just put a little bit of flour down here on the bench, so I can knead the dough into it. Dough out onto the bench here. So you get a mixture, something like this. You can see it's still quite sticky, and this is where the kneading process starts to come in. It's just bringing all those ingredients together, and it's still quite sticky here, so I just keep adding little bits of flour as I need to. You don't want to add too much flour, otherwise it'll dry out too much. Now the dough, how sticky the dough is, does depend also a lot on the humidity, the temperature. It's quite a warm day out today, so I'm figuring I'm going to need to add quite a bit more flour today. If it was a cooler day, I probably wouldn't need to add quite so much flour. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep kneading this now until we get a nice firm or soft elastic dough. Okay, now I've kneaded the dough. Now people have different ways of kneading. Some people say, oh, you have to stretch it until you can almost see through the dough and it doesn't break. Sometimes you say you have to knead it for 10 minutes. Some people say you have to knead it 100 times. What I do is actually quite simple. I just knead it until I get to a consistency where I can poke it and it springs back, as you can see. So to me, I'm thinking that's ready. So what I have done is I've sprayed a bowl just with a non-stick cooking spray, and I'm going to put my dough in there. I'm going to cover it with either some cling film or a damp tea towel, put it in a warm spot to rise or double in size, and then what we'll do is we'll separate it out into a dozen buns, roll them out, cross them, let them rise, and I'll show you the process as we go along. Okay, now what I'm going to make now is hot cross buns traditionally have a cross on them. You don't have to put a cross on, but I do. My recipe here for the crosses, I have got half a cup of plain flour and half a teaspoon of baking powder, or you can use half a cup of self-raising flour. Then what I do is just add enough water that I can make it into a paste. Now you don't want it too thick, it's a little bit thick there at the moment, so I'm going to add in a bit more water. Coming together nicely. The reason I whisk it is to try and not have any lumps in it at all. That's a good consistency. So it's sort of ribboning. What I'm going to do now, you can put it into a piping bag to pipe it out. If you don't have a piping bag, just use one of these snap lock bags. Now you probably won't use all of this mixture for one batch of hot cross buns. That's fine. What you don't use, just keep it in the bag, put it in the fridge for the next time you need to use it. Alright, I want to seal the bag. And then when you're ready to use it, just snip the end off the bag, tiny bit, and you're ready to make your crosses. Okay, now this bread has been left to rise and it's pretty much doubled in size, probably slightly more than doubled in size. So that's what you'll get, and you press it and it does kind of spring back. So what I'm going to do is tip it out of the container onto the edge with some flour. So this is what we've got here. So it feels quite springy. That's alright. So what I'm going to do is just roll it out into like a log shape. What I'm going to do is cut it in half. We should be able to get about 6 rolls out of each half. So I'm just going to do this roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Then I'm just going to roll them. Something nice like that. Another one. Doesn't matter if they're slightly different sizes. You want them about the same size, but if they're slightly different, it's not the end of the world. So out of this mix, we should get 12. And then once I've rolled them all out, what we're going to do is I'm going to put them on a greased tray, and we will leave them to prove again until they're double in size, and then we'll come back and see what we do next. Okay, now we've got our hot cross buns here. They've pretty much doubled in size. While they've been doubling, I've put the oven up to about 200 degrees Celsius. And now what I'm going to do is just brush the tops of the buns with some milk. You can either brush them with milk or you can brush them with a beaten egg. It's your choice. This just helps to give them a nice golden colour when they're baking. It can be quite rough, that's okay. Okay. Now what we're going to do is put our crosses on. Just going to nip the end of the bag here. So you don't have to do the crosses, that's entirely up to you. Given that it's Easter and hot cross buns, add a nice touch. Right, now these are ready to go into the oven. So we'll just put them into an oven at 200 degrees Celsius for about 12 to 15 minutes or so. And we'll come back and see what they look like when they're done. Okay, so I've just pulled these hot cross buns out of the oven, so they're actually very, very hot. So now you just need to leave them to cool down, and you can enjoy them with butter. You can reheat them the next day. They only last about a day or so. Fits well with making your own ones. A little bit of work involved, but well worth it, and they taste much better than the store-bought ones. So if you want to find out more about what we're doing, you can find us on freerangefamily.net. You can find us on YouTube and find us on Facebook under Family Free Range.